My girlfriend begged for an open relationship to see other men, so I said yes. Then fell for her best friend, and now she's calling me a cheater. Alright, I need to get this off my chest. I'm 31 now, and everything I'm about to share started unfolding a little over a year ago. At the time, I was in a long-term relationship with my girlfriend, let's call her Sarah. She was 29 then, and we'd been together for around 4 years. From my perspective, it was serious. We'd lived together for 2 of those years and built what I thought was a solid life. There's another key person in this story, Chloe. She was Sarah's best friend, also 29. Since she and Sarah were inseparable, I got to know her pretty early on. Chloe was just part of the package, always around, included in our social life, dinners, group hangouts, all of it. I found out much later that she had feelings for me almost from the beginning, but she never acted on them because she respected her friendship with Sarah and didn't want to cross that line. Back then, everything between Sarah and me felt stable. We had our routines, mutual friends, and loosely tossed around ideas about the future vacations, maybe buying a place together someday. We weren't fighting constantly. Financially, we were steady. Bills were split, chores shared. Honestly, it felt like your typical adult relationship. Nothing seemed off. Or at least, nothing that gave me any clue about what was coming. It started about 18 months ago. Subtle at first, Sarah began bringing up ideas about personal growth and the importance of new experiences. She joined this upscale gym, full of younger, stylish people. She started spending more and more time there, not just working out, but mingling, staying for hours. She'd tell me it was all about fitness and making connections. Eventually, she began name-dropping guys from the gym. Mark the personal trainer gave me some pointers, or Ben from spin class is hilarious. I didn't think much of it at first. People make friends. But over time, her conversations took a turn. She started bringing up articles about non-monogamous relationships and asked questions like, "What would you think if I wanted to explore things with other people?" She framed it as part of her journey, something about understanding herself better. She kept assuring me it wasn't because anything was lacking between us. One evening, she sat me down and laid it all out. She said she felt like she'd missed out on sexual experiences with other men. That even though we'd met when she was 25, it felt like she'd settled too young. She told me she loved me and still wanted to be with me, but also wanted the freedom to sleep with other guys. She talked about it making her a fuller person, and that her happiness would make our relationship stronger in the long run. She even offered that I could do the same, though her focus was definitely on what she wanted for herself. I listened. I asked her questions about boundaries, logistics, what it would look like in real life. She had an answer for everything. It was obvious she'd been thinking about this for a while, maybe even bouncing ideas off her gym crowd. My gut reaction? I felt like we were heading for a breakup, but I kept that to myself. Over the next few weeks, I just watched her. She seemed more distant, spent even more time out of the house, and got a lot more protective of her phone. She brought up the open relationship again, this time more directly, pushing the idea. That's when I made a choice. Instead of fighting or walking away, what she probably expected, I told her I'd agree. I said if this was truly something she needed to do for herself, then I'd support her. I asked for one thing, complete honesty. Not because I was trying to be controlling, but for safety, transparency, and respect, just like she'd asked for. She looked relieved. Actually, she seemed thrilled. She promised she'd be open with me about everything and thanked me for being understanding. And so, we started this new chapter. Sarah dove right in. She went on dates, mostly with guys from the gym. One in particular, a CrossFit trainer, seemed to be her favorite. She'd tell me when she was meeting him, would come home late, sometimes not at all. Around the apartment, she didn't even bother hiding it. There were new pieces of lingerie, phone calls I could partially overhear, casual details about her nights out. She'd even ask for my opinion on outfits before heading out to see other men. It was surreal. Chloe was around for some of this, coming over like usual. But I could tell, this new situation made her uncomfortable. Sarah would sometimes brag to Chloe about her exploits, and Chloe mostly just sat there, listening quietly or changing the subject. A couple of times, when Sarah was out and Chloe happened to be at our place, we'd talk. She never bashed Sarah, not outright. But the way she looked at me and gently shifted the conversation told me everything. She even asked me how I was really holding up. I didn't say much, just told her I was trying to figure things out. During those talks, I started seeing Chloe in a new light. Or maybe I just remembered who she was all along, solid, grounded, loyal. The opposite of whatever phase Sarah was going through. This went on for about 3 months. Sarah was living her new lifestyle to the fullest. She even went away for a weekend with one of the gym guys. Told me all about it afterward, where they stayed, what they did. She stayed consistent with her honesty. I kept my word too. I didn't get angry. I didn't date anyone else. I just watched. I think Sarah mistook my calmness for either total acceptance or a lack of interest in exercising my side of the open agreement. She seemed happy to have all the freedom while I stayed the stable one at home. Meanwhile, Chloe and I started talking more. Sometimes she'd text me, just checking in, concerned about how I was doing as Sarah's behavior got more erratic. We grabbed coffee a few times, talked like old friends. Then one day, during one of those talks, she opened up. She told me she'd had feelings for me for years. That watching Sarah tear apart what used to be a loving relationship was hard. She said she wasn't trying to pursue anything, just needed me to know. Her words stuck with me. Because technically, under Sarah's rules, I could explore too. And suddenly, Chloe didn't feel off limits anymore. She felt like a safe harbor. So I took that step. We started spending more intentional time together. One Saturday, while Sarah was off with another gym guy for the day, Chloe and I went on a long walk. We talked for hours about everything. Of course, Sarah came up in conversation. It was bound to happen. I told Chloe straight up that, in my mind, what Sarah had been doing had already ended the relationship. I was still technically in it, but emotionally, I'd checked out. I explained that I was weighing my next steps and figuring out what my future might look like without Sarah in it. Chloe listened without judgment. She didn't push me in any direction. About a week later, I invited Chloe over for dinner. Sarah was out again, supposedly for another one of her late nights. Chloe and I cooked together, shared some wine, and just talked. There was something so natural between us, relaxed, easy. And by the end of the night, the attraction was undeniable. We crossed a line. We slept together. It wasn't some impulsive, heat-of-the-moment thing. It felt like something that had been slowly building, waiting for the right time. The next morning, Sarah came home. She said she'd be back late, but apparently that meant early morning. She walked into the apartment and found Chloe in the kitchen making coffee. I was there too. She froze, completely blindsided. You could see the gears turning in her head as her expression shifted from exhaustion to shock to realization. She asked Chloe what she was doing there. Chloe didn't flinch. She calmly said, "I stayed the night." Sarah looked at me. I didn't say anything. I just met her eyes and let her draw her own conclusions. And she did. Her face gave it all away, she knew. She immediately started firing off questions. First at Chloe, then at me. She asked if we had slept together. I told her the truth, yes, we had. That's when she turned on Chloe, accusing her of betrayal, of stabbing her in the back. But Chloe stood her ground. She pointed out that Sarah had been the one to suggest an open relationship in the first place. That Sarah had been with multiple men for months. And that I'd been told I could explore other people too. Sarah didn't take that well. She snapped at me next, saying this wasn't what she meant by open. She claimed she expected me to have meaningless hookups, not get involved with her best friend. She said this was different. That Chloe was off limits. I reminded her of the rules, or lack thereof. She never once said who I could or couldn't see. Her focus had always been on her own freedom. She hadn't considered the other side of that coin. Things escalated fast. Sarah went from crying to screaming. She threw out accusations, called us both names, and said we had done this to hurt her. I stayed calm and told her I was simply doing what she told me I could do. While she was out chasing excitement, I had found something real with someone who actually cared about me. That's when she tried to roll it all back. She said she wanted to end the open relationship, right there and then. Said she didn't want to be with other guys anymore if it meant I was with Chloe. I told her that was too little, too late. The trust had already been broken when she decided to pursue other men. Her sudden reversal didn't feel sincere, it felt like she was trying to regain control. Chloe stayed mostly quiet during Sarah's breakdown, letting me handle it. But when Sarah lashed out at her again, Chloe spoke up. She told Sarah that this wasn't just about now, that she'd been a pretty lousy friend for a long time. She said she had real feelings for me, something Sarah clearly never considered while indulging in her own escapades. The whole blow-up lasted hours. Sarah cycled through every emotion: rage, heartbreak, desperation. She demanded that Chloe leave, but Chloe calmly said she was here with me. Sarah tried to get me to choose. I told her I already had. I said our relationship was over, and I was with Chloe now. Watching her unravel like that was something else. She started throwing things, then packed a small bag while yelling that she couldn't stay in the apartment anymore. Then she stormed out. Chloe stayed. We didn't say much right away. The next few days were tense. Sarah came back once, not to apologize or fix things, but to start moving her stuff out. It dragged on for several days. Every time she showed up, she cried, argued, begged. She'd try to talk to me alone, ask Chloe to step out. But I refused. I told her any conversations had to include Chloe, because she and I were now a team. That usually shut her down. It took about a week for her to get all her things together. She eventually had movers come in for the bigger pieces of furniture. It wasn't easy on her. I could see how much she was hurting, but I couldn't pretend I didn't see this coming. She kept saying I'd ruined everything, that Chloe had destroyed their friendship. I kept telling her the same thing. Her choices led us here. I didn't cause this, I just reacted. At one point, she asked how I could be so cold. I told her I was only matching the energy she put into the relationship during those last few months. After she left for good, the apartment felt eerily quiet. There was this strange stillness. Chloe and I didn't jump into playing house right away. We took it slow. She started staying over more regularly, and after a couple of months, we decided she'd move in officially. It wasn't a fairy tale transition, but it felt real. Chloe had always been honest about her feelings, and I was starting to realize mine were stronger than I'd admitted. It's been 6 months since Sarah moved out. Chloe and I are still together. We live in my apartment, and things are steady. Our relationship is respectful, calm, and full of mutual support. We're genuinely happy. But here's the thing, and really, the reason I'm even writing all this, Sarah hasn't completely vanished from my life. Not directly. She stopped trying to reach out after I ignored and blocked her initial texts and voicemails. But we still share a few mutual friends from that old life. And through those channels, I hear things. Apparently, Sarah's been telling people that I was emotionally distant and that I cheated on her with her best friend, leaving out the part where she was the one who pushed for an open relationship in the first place. In some versions, she frames Chloe as this manipulative homewrecker who stole me away. Some mutual friends have drifted away since then. Others have come straight to me, asking what happened. For them, I've offered the bare-bones truth, but I haven't gone out of my way to defend myself to everyone. I'm not interested in a messy public back and forth. Still, it's frustrating. The story out there makes me look like the villain, and I know it's weighing on Chloe too. She doesn't show it often, but losing most of her old friend group wasn't easy. A lot of them took Sarah's side or just didn't want to be involved in the drama. Thankfully, our inner circle, the people who matter, know the truth. My family has been supportive. The friends who stuck around have seen how happy and stable we are. But that lingering sense of being misunderstood? It nags at me sometimes. So yeah, maybe this is just me venting. Putting down the real version of events, at least for my own peace of mind. Maybe someone out there's been in a similar situation. Am I wrong for how things played out? I don't think so. Sarah started this whole thing, I just followed the rules she laid out. I happened to find someone who genuinely cared. It's just frustrating how messy the aftermath can get when other people only hear half the story. And honestly, I still don't know if I should even bother correcting the narrative with those fringe acquaintances or just let it go. Probably a rhetorical question. I wouldn't say I lose sleep over it, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't still nag at me sometimes. It's like this constant low hum in the back of my mind, annoying, but not loud enough to ruin my peace. Update 1, this is about 3 weeks after I shared my original post. First off, I want to thank everyone who read it, commented, or messaged me. I appreciated all the insights and support. A few folks had questions, so I figured I'd clear some things up. One thing people kept asking was why I went along with the open relationship if I wasn't really okay with it. Why didn't I just break things off with Sarah right away? And that's a fair question. The truth is, even though her proposal hit me like a punch to the gut at first, it also made something click. Deep down, I think I already knew we were done the second she brought it up. I mean, if she was seriously thinking about sleeping with other men, we weren't exactly headed for forever. But here's the thing, her insistence on it, the way she framed it like it was all about her self-growth, it rubbed me the wrong way. It felt self-serving. So instead of just walking away, I decided to let her show me who she really was. I didn't pretend to be okay with it, I just stood back and observed. I let her lead the dance, and by doing so, she showed her true priorities. It wasn't about partnership or growth. It was about indulgence. Another common question was about Chloe, whether her timing was strategic, whether she planned her confession. From where I stand, and based on everything she said and done, I don't believe it was calculated. Her feelings were real. She had kept them buried for years, because of Sarah, and because I was with Sarah. When she finally told me how she felt, Sarah had already been with other guys for months. It wasn't a move. It was honesty in a situation that was already completely upside down. She didn't chase me or push for anything. We just found each other in the middle of the wreckage. People also asked how obvious Sarah was being with her adventures. Let's just say, she wasn't exactly subtle. She talked openly about her dates. She'd leave her phone around, and messages from guys would pop up without any concern. There were new outfits, frequent nights out, even weekend getaways. She claimed she was being honest, because we had agreed to that, but it felt more like she was flaunting it. Like she expected me to play the role of the supportive home base while she went out and explored. There was no real consideration for how I felt beyond me nodding at the beginning. Some folks wanted more details about the moment Sarah found out about me and Chloe. So here's how it went down. Chloe was in the kitchen making coffee. I was at the table. Sarah came in earlier than expected, looking tired at first. She paused when she saw Chloe and said something like, "What are you doing here so early?" Chloe just looked at her and calmly said, "I stayed over." Sarah's eyes jumped from her to me and back again. "What does she mean?" she asked. I told her the truth. Chloe had spent the night. Her whole demeanor changed in a heartbeat. Her expression hardened, and the questions started flying. Loud, rapid fire, angry. She demanded to know how long it had been going on. Chloe tried to respond gently, saying it had just started and that Sarah herself had opened the door. But Sarah wasn't having it. She accused Chloe of scheming, of wanting me all along. Chloe admitted she had feelings for me, but she stood firm. Nothing had happened while I was still actively committed to Sarah. But the moment Sarah pushed for the open relationship, she'd changed the rules. Sarah, of course, wasn't ready to hear that. Then she turned on me full force. But here's the thing, I didn't do anything that wasn't on the table already. Sarah had laid out the rules. She had her freedom, and I took mine when it made sense to. Her fury made it crystal clear that she never really expected me to go through with it. Especially not with someone who mattered. And definitely not her best friend. In the end, all I did was stop waiting around while she did whatever she wanted. I built something meaningful with someone who valued me. The fact that it was Chloe made it more complicated, sure, but Sarah had already fractured that friendship long before I ever crossed any lines. Since then, a few things have changed. Chloe and I have talked at length about everything. We're on the same page. She's been incredibly supportive, especially with the fallout from Sarah's version of events. When mutual friends or acquaintances reached out, I told them the truth. No drama, just facts. Sarah asked for an open relationship. She went out with other men. I did the same. She didn't like it. Now I'm with someone who makes me happy. I've stayed out of social media drama completely. No public fighting. But I've responded calmly to anyone who asked for the real story. Chloe, on her end, has also started cutting ties with people who didn't bother to hear her out. We've been focusing on the people who stood by us and on each other. From what I've heard through the grapevine, Sarah's still upset. Still bitter. Apparently, about a week ago, she ran into Chloe at a spot they used to hang out and tried to confront her. Chloe didn't take the bait. She told Sarah she had nothing left to say and walked away. Sarah made a scene, but it only embarrassed her in front of the few people who witnessed it. Now, Chloe and I are focused on the future. We've been making plans, serious ones. We started looking for a place of our own. Update 2, it's been a little over a year since Sarah moved out. And about 7 months since I first posted here. Life with Chloe? Honestly, it's been amazing. The early chaos has passed, and what we have now is something strong, steady, and real. We found a new apartment 4 months ago in a different part of town. Having a space that's entirely ours, with no history tied to it, has made a huge difference. It really feels like starting fresh. Chloe's made it into a real home. We've decorated together, hosted a few small dinners for close friends, the ones who stayed in our corner, and even made a few new ones. That ugly narrative Sarah was spreading? It's fizzled out. Or maybe it still exists, but it's irrelevant now. The people who bought into it aren't in our lives anymore. So who cares? My family loves Chloe. Her small circle, her parents and sister, have welcomed me with open arms. And since that awkward scene at the cafe, Sarah hasn't made any more attempts to contact either of us. I think she finally realized the door is closed. Locked, bolted, and sealed. And honestly, I'm grateful for this community. When I posted here, I needed a place to lay it all out to make sense of the mess. So thank you. We've moved on. We're building something real. And we're happy. That's all that matters now.